Good morning, dear students. Welcome to my lecture. Uh, our today's lecture is dedicated to verbal communication, and let me introduce you with a plan of the lesson. Today, we will learn about code switching, turn taking, self-disclosure, content versus relationship. We will study listening skills and cultural variations in language. Okay, let's start with the introduction of verbal communication. To the question, what is verbal communication? We can say that verbal communication refers to the use of sounds and language to relay a message. It serves as a vehicle for expressing desires, ideas, and concepts, and is vital to the process of learning and teaching. In combination with nonverbal forms of communication, verbal communication acts as the primary tool for expression between two or more people. Interpersonal communication and public speaking are the two basic types of verbal communication. Whereas public speaking involves one or more people delivering a message to a group, interpersonal communication generally refers to a two-way exchange that involves both taking and listening. According to Robert M. Krauss, professor of psychology at Columbia University, signs and symbols are the major signals that make up verbal communication. Words act as symbols, and signs are secondary products of the underlying message and include things like tone of voice, blushing, and facial expressions. Okay, verbal communication has many purposes, but its main function is relaying a message to one or more recipients. It encompasses everything from simple one-syllable sounds to complex discussions and relies on both language and emotion to produce the desired effect. Verbal communication can be used to inform, inquiry, argue, and discuss topics of all kinds. It is vital to teaching and learning, as well as forming bonds and building relationships with other people. Although all species communicate, language itself is a purely human phenomenon that allows for more precision than the communication methods of other beings. A variety of challenges may arise when using verbal communication to express oneself. Misunderstandings can arise because of poor word choice, differing perspectives and faulty communication techniques, and subjective opinions regarding acceptable language may result in breakdowns in communication. Language barriers are a major cause of confusion when attempting to communicate verbally. According to the University of Louisville, differences in language influenced by geographical location, education, and social status can create barriers even among those who speak the same language. Although difficulties with verbal communication can't be completely avoided, it is possible to increase your chances of communicating successfully. Consider the message you wish to communicate before speaking and communicate with respect for the recipient's point of view. Pay attention to what you say and how you say it. Speak clearly and enunciate your words and be conscious nonverbal aspects such as eye contact, posture, and facial expressions. Everyone has a unique style of communicating and perceiving messages. Although verbal communication is primary means of expression, nonverbal actions such as body language can greatly affect the way a message is perceived. Okay, dear students, let's get to the main part of our lecture. So, according to the plan of the lecture, we should start with the code switching. So, what is code switching? Code switching is a process that we switch between two languages back and forth in the same sentences, just like the squirrel jumps between two trees. In linguistics, code switching occurs when a speaker alternates between two or more languages or language varieties in the context of a single conversation. Multilingual speakers of more than one language sometimes use elements. Here, elements is the words of multiple languages when conversing with each other. Thus, code switching is the use of more than one linguistic variety in a manner consistent with the syntax and phonology of each variety. So, code switching is distinct from other language contact phenomena, such as borrowing, pidgins and creoles, loan translation, calques, and language transfer. Borrowing affects the lexicon, the words that make up a language, while code switching takes place in individual utterance. Speakers form and establish a pidgin language when two or more speakers who do not speak a common language form an intermediate third language. On the other hand, speakers practice code switching when they are each fluent in both languages. Code mixing is a thematically related to term, but the usage of the terms code switching and code mixing varies. Code mixing means using one primary language but mixing in words or ideas from another. Just like if the squirrel would sit on one tree but will eat an acorn from another. Here's a picture of code switching and mixing process. The term code switching is also used outside the field of linguistics. Some scholars of literature use the term to describe literary styles that include elements from more than one language, as in novels by Chinese American, Anglo-Indian, or Latino writers. In popular usage, code switching is sometimes used to refer to relatively stable informal mixtures of two languages, such as Spanglish, Taglish, or Hinglish. Both in popular usage and in social linguistic study, the name code switching is sometimes used to refer to switching among dialects, styles, or registers. This form of switching is practiced, for example, by speakers of African American vernacular English as they move from less formal to more formal settings. Such shifts, when performed by public figures such as politicians, are sometimes criticized as signaling an authenticity or insincerity. And now, dear students, I would like to show you a video in which you can observe code switching process. Now enjoy your video.
Told me that to my dad, right? Yeah, I saw his dad in the hallway and I was like, we're going to skip it. Told me that to my dad, right? Yeah, I saw his dad in the hallway and I was like, we're going to skip video. We're going.
So, dear students, in order, I had some problem with the sound of the video, and I decided to give the link of the video in which you can observe the code switching process. Okay, our next material is about turn taking. Turn taking is a type of organization in conversation and discourse where participants speak one at a time in alternating turns. In practice, it involves the process of constructing contributions, responding to previous comments, and transitioning to a different speaker using a variety of linguistic and non-linguistic cues. While the structure is generally universal, turn-taking conversation vary by culture and community. Conventions vary in many ways, such as how turns are distributed, how transitions are signaled, or how much overlapping is acceptable. In many contexts, conversation turns are valuable means to participate in social life and have been subject to competition. It is often thought that turn-taking strategies differ by gender. Consequently, turn-taking has been a topic of intense examination in gender studies. While early studies supported gender stereotypes such as men interrupting more than women and women taking more than men, recent research has found mixed evidence of gender-specific conversational strategies, and few overarching patterns have emerged. In conversation analysis, turn-taking organization describes the sets of practices speakers use to construct and allocate turns. The organization of turn-taking was first explored as a part of conversation analysis. So, the next topic that we are going to discuss is about self-disclosure. Self-disclosure is a process of communication by which one person reveals information about himself or herself to another. The information can be descriptive or evaluative and can include thoughts, feelings, aspirations, goals, failures, successes, fears, and dreams, as well as one's likes, dislikes, and favorites. Social penetration theory, or we can call it the onion theory, posits that there are two dimensions to self-disclosure: breadth and depth. Both are crucial in developing a fully intimate relationship. The range of topics discussed by two individuals is the breadth of disclosure. The degree to which the information revealed is private or personal is the depth of that disclosure. It is easier for breadth to be expanded first in a relationship because of its more accessible features. It consists of outer layers of personality and everyday lives such as occupations and literature. Depth is more difficult to reach and includes painful memories and more unusual traits that we might hesitate to share with others. We reveal ourselves most thoroughly and discuss the widest range of topics with our spouses and loved ones. Self-disclosure is an important building block of intimacy and cannot be achieved without it. Reciprocal and appropriate self-disclosure is expected. Self-disclosure can be assessed by an analysis of cost and rewards, which can be further explained by social exchange theory. Most self-disclosure occurs early in relational development, but more intimate self-disclosure occurs later. Okay, the next topic that we are going to discuss is content versus relationship. So you have a model of content and relationship in communication. Every message has two levels. When you communicate, verbal or written, there are always two messages: the relationship message and the content message. Every message you send and receive has a content message and the relationship message 100% of the time. Every time you communicate verbally or non-verbally, you are sending a message about what you think about this person and your relationship as well as the content of the message. The content message you give is about information, tasks, details, and facts. The way this message is delivered communicates a relationship with the relationship message. You are giving a message that communicates what you think about this person or etc. Do you accept this person or not? This relationship message is communicated through your body language, as well as the word you choose and the tone of your voice. The interesting thing is that most people receive the relationship message first. And the impact of this will determine how they receive the content of the message. So if you have asked them to do the photocopying in a brisk tone, they may well conclude that you don't respect them and they may not receive the content of the message. Do the photocopying today in a way that bring out their best for you. If you overemphasize your content message, you may be seen as clear, crisp, straight to the point, but you may also be as bossy, demanding, abrupt, rude, attacking, bossy, or confrontational. If you overemphasize the relationship message, you may be seen a people person, approachable, easygoing, but equally you may be perceived as a pleaser, soft, or wishy-washy. So we have come to the listening skill in communication. So listening process is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. As you can see from this picture that is shown in front of you, you can easily understand that the listening is the key to all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. As a result, communication breaks down and the sender of the message can easily become frustrated or irritated. Good listening skills also have benefits in our personal lives. And if there is one communication skill that we should aim to master, then listening is it. Listening is one of the most important skills that we can have. How well we listen has a major impact on our job effectiveness and on the quality of our relationships with others. Listening is not the same as hearing. Hearing refers to the sounds that enter your ears. It is physical process that provide you do not have any hearing problems. Happens automatically. A greater number of friends and social networks, improved self-esteem and confidence, higher grades at school and in academic work, and even better health and general well-being. Studies have shown that whereas speaking rises blood pressure, attentive listening can bring it down. So, the last topic for today is cultural variations in language. As you know, language varies from culture to culture. Even within the same language, there are differences in how it is spoken. We can think of language as a live entity. It moves, adapts, and evolves just like living beings and society in general. Language, no matter the culture, is a system implemented by its people for the purpose of communication. This means language must follow rules decided by its speakers. Therefore, the lives those speakers lead determine how language is used. So, let's imagine of culture as the ways a certain group of people choose to live. The history of the language, therefore, also reflects the history of the culture. For example, in the last 20-30 years, our society has exploded with technology. And in the last 2 years, we have exploded with coronavirus pandemic. And how do you think did it influence our language and culture? Yes, mostly. In language, we have shaped a lot of elements of language that is connected with this pandemic virus. And in culture, we have shaped a new culture of communication like distance communication, online communication, and so on. New culture has changed how we speak. For example, if you had a question on a topic 20 years ago, your peer might direct you to an encyclopedia. Today, most of us would just say, Google, find me that one, or Alicia, I would like to know something. If you spend a minute to think about it, you can come up with many more examples of how new types of technology have influenced the way we speak. And in this lecture, we focus on how culture causes variations in language. So, relationship between language and culture. Four key constructs underline the integral relationship between culture and language. The first one is culture defines language, and language shapes culture. The second, language is a symbol of cultural and personal identity. Cultural groups have different worldviews based on their own cultures. Shared experiences is the third one. The last key construction is the language is a medium through which individuals transmit culture from generation to generation. Cultural variations. Since language is a tool for its speakers, how the culture functions is represented in the language. Politics, technology, and social morals all factor into how language is used. An example of this can be seen in the rule for French speakers that demands different forms of the same word based on gender. For instance, a man would be labeled as American, but a woman is Americani, with the extra "ni" adding more sound to the word. This implies that differentiating between the genders was something the French society found extremely important when their language was developing. Cultural variation refers to the rich diversity in social practices that different cultures exhibit around the world. Cuisine and art all change from one culture to the next. But so do gender roles, economic systems, and social hierarchy, among any number of other humanly organized behaviors. Cultural variation can be studied across cultures. For example, a cross-cultural study of ritual in Indonesia and Brazil, or a cross-generalization, for example, a comparison of Generation X and Generation Y, and is often a subject studied by anthropologists, sociologists, and cultural theorists with subspecialties in the fields of economic anthropology, ethnomusicology, health, sociology, etc. In recent years, cultural variation has become a rich source of study in our social life. Okay, dear students, we have come to the end of our lecture, and before ending, I would like to make a revision to the material that we have learned in our lecture. And the revision will be done by answering to the questions that are illustrated in front of you. And the first one is, what is the essence of verbal communication? Okay, I will read one by one. Clarify types of verbal communication. What is the main purpose of verbal communication? Define peculiarities of verbal communication. What is code switching? Clarify reasons to switch code in single conversation. Speak about the essence of the term code switching outside the field of linguistics. Point out types of switching. What is turn taking? What do you know about components of turn taking? Give characteristics of self-disclosure. What is the purpose of disclosure? Speak about first-order subcontracts of self-disclosure. What is the content? Give characteristics of relationships. Point out differences of content and relationship. What skill is key to all effective communication? What is the peculiarities of listening and hearing? How much time do we spend listening? What is the purpose of a language? Clarify listening skills. What challenges have verbal communication? What is the solutions of challenges in verbal communication? What do you know about cultural variations in language? Speak about the rules to minimize gaps and overlap in turn taking. So, dear students, these are the questions that you have to give the reply, and to upload it to your TNG website, and to get your scores to that answers. Thanks a lot, dear students, for paying your attention to my video lecture. I wish you enjoyed this video lecture, and I wish you to have a good day off. See you.